You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN E-Mini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things E-Mini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borg. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Monday. 27th day of April, 2026. Thanks so much for joining us, wherever you are, wherever you are. We're just glad to have you right here, right now. We do 2 live broadcasts every trading day. The first broadcast is our live training room. So to get in there, you got to be a member or taking the 1-week free trial. This broadcast, on the other hand, is open to the public. Everybody, everywhere on planet Earth with an internet-connected device. There's 2 different ways to join this afternoon broadcast live. The best way, you only have to do it once. Go to mytradingiq.com. Scroll down the page to where it says Noon Broadcast. Click the link, fill out the 30-second registration form, and you're done. What will happen going forward is every trading day you'll get an email about an hour before this broadcast starts. In the email, there'll be a link. So at 12 noon Eastern, all you got to do is click the link in the email, and it automatically logs you into our platform. The benefit there is you'll immediately have access to the question box so you can ask questions and participate in the discussion. Of course, there will be days you're out of the office, away from your desktop, but you still want to join live. Some days you'll be busy, so you can't join live, but you want to get caught up later. You can do both of those via our YouTube channel, which is easy to remember. youtube.com/CFRN. That's the Christian Financial Radio Network since 2005. Not only do we broadcast live every trading day on our YouTube channel, as we're doing right now, simulcasting, but we also archive each and every daily broadcast. Currently, there's over 3,000 daily episodes archived for your educational and viewing pleasure. And if you're new to our neck of the woods, it's a great way to get to know who we really are. Thanks to the power of YouTube, you can scroll back 6 days, 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years, even more, a lot more. Now, obviously, you're not going to watch them all, nor do you need to, but it's a great resource to have at your fingertips because it allows you to see how we've evolved all these years, day by day by day. Here's the number one thing to understand before we do anything else today. The market is not trading earnings first today. We are in earnings season, and we got a Fed announcement coming Wednesday. Hopefully the last one with Jerome Powell. So the market's not trading earnings, it's trading oil and geopolitics. After last night's record high, Wall Street came in this morning and kind of hit the brakes. Dow's modestly lower, the S&P is off a bit, and the Nasdaq is leading to the downside. Why? Because the Iran story is back on center stage, and, well, the talks look pretty shaky. The Strait of Hormuz is still a live risk, and crude is moving higher. When oil jumps, traders immediately start repricing inflation risk, growth risk, and rate risk all at once. That's the tape today. So this morning, what you saw was a cautious market. Not a collapse, but a market that is being reminded that headlines still matter. And that's tough on us because we're technical traders. We pretty much ignore the fundamentals, but with the geopolitical situation we have going on right now, it's kind of hard to ignore them. Energy-linked names are holding up better, while growth and fuel-sensitive areas are feeling the pressure. That's the kind of action you would expect when crude gets everybody's attention all over again. Now, on the news side, conservatives have plenty to chew on today. Fox has a strong piece on how the Department of Homeland Security funding fight is freezing ICE oversight, which is politically awkward for Democrats who say they want more accountability. There's also fresh reporting on the Trump team's budget posture, with more emphasis on border security, law enforcement, and core state capacity. Another story worth watching is the housing push in the Senate, because it goes right to the heart of affordability, private property, and whether Washington can fix supply without making the problem worse. Bottom line, this is a market and a country still wrestling with first principles: security, energy, borders, and economic reality. And when those issues are unresolved, the tape gets honest in a hurry. On the left side of the screen, you see our schedule for each afternoon broadcast. Michael will be joining us at the top of the hour, 1 p.m. Eastern. He'll give us a recap of everything that happened this morning in the live training room. It was a little bit of a rough day, but we pulled it out. And then he'll do a little live trading as time and the markets permit. But right now, we're going to start where we always do, with our daily devotional. The topic that we're on right now: everyday faith. Now, we've been on that topic for a couple weeks, and we're going to be on this topic for a couple more weeks. It's kind of important. Today's scripture, John 8:36. So if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. John 8:36 from the NIV translation. There's a difference between being forgiven and living in freedom. Many believers are certain they are forgiven. Fewer live as if chains have been broken. Friedrich Nietzsche once observed, "I would believe in their Redeemer if they looked more redeemed." This was harsh criticism of the church. Good news should seem like newsworthy hearing. We embrace our weaknesses as though they prove humility. We return to old shame as though it keeps us grounded. We define ourselves by what once marked us, even after Christ has spoken differently. Freedom is not denial of the past. It is refusal to let the past dictate identity or our future walk with Jesus. If Christ has declared us free, why should we continue with past agreements about who we once were, as though nothing has changed, when in fact everything's changed. To cling to our past after it has been settled is not caution, it is mistrust, a refusal to trust what God has already made new. It is for freedom's sake that Christ has set us free. And freedom, well, it feels a little unfamiliar at first. It removes the excuse of, well, this is just who I am. It requires stepping forward into the new truth, a different reality, God's redemptive truth. We are new creatures, new creations. Christ does not free you so that you can remain cautious. He frees you so that you can live in freedom. It is for freedom's sake that Christ has set us free. So here's a question for you. Where in your life are you still living as if the chains remain? Meditate on that today and then get it right. Let's pray. Lord Jesus, we receive the freedom you have given us. Teach every one of us to walk in it fully as our new identity. God, break the chains that hold us to our old life. It's in your name we believe and pray. And everybody said, amen. Amen and happy Monday. All right, I'm going to give you the numbers from around the world. Then we're going to go to the news. Then we're going to go to the alerts. And then we're going to go to the charts. In that order. Starting here in the U.S. with the cash markets, or the indices as they're called. Currently, the Dow's down 74 points. NASDAQ is down 39. S&P 500 is down 2. And the Russell 2000, it's down less than a point. It was really a quiet morning. In the commodity basket, crude oil is up $1.79, trading 96.19 last. That's a gain of almost 2%. Gold down $55.70, trading 46.85 last. That's a drop of almost 1.25%. Silver down $1.58, trading 74.84 last. That's a drop of just over 2%. Now remember, when silver moves $1 in price, that is worth $5,000 per contract traded. And we're down $1.54. Moving on. I'll wipe my tears later. In the Asian markets at the close, the Nikkei closed up 821 points, almost 1.5%. The Shanghai gained 6, the Hang Seng fell 52. And in the European markets at the close, FTSE down 57, the DAX down 34, the CAC down 15. So we had a mixed day in Asia. It was a red day for the UK. And the Russell just barely went positive, unchanged on the session. It's now a 0.09, so not even a full point. But as you know, sometimes the Russell will lead us to the upside or the downside. You can't build a trading strategy around that, but you should keep an eye on the Russell. It often will give you an indication of where the other markets are headed. Turning to the news. The gunman is in custody after storming the White House Correspondents Association dinner Saturday. President Trump, whom the acting attorney general described as the likely target, was unharmed. The attack happened shortly after 8:30 p.m. Eastern, when police say a man armed with a shotgun, a handgun, and multiple knives rushed past security. Now, if we had the big, beautiful ballroom, this would have never happened. But this fancy dinner was held at the Washington Hilton in downtown Washington, D.C. If there's ever been an argument for building this ballroom, well, here it is right here. You know, Trump is the only president that has had 3 assassination attempts. And you know what? The Secret Service, I don't know, were they asleep at the wheel? They intercepted the gunman in the lobby while others escorted Trump out of the ballroom and all the guests took cover. One Secret Service agent was shot in his bulletproof vest and was later released from the hospital. And they say that whatever he got shot with, it almost penetrated the vest. But he had his phone in his shirt pocket, and that helped. The suspect is Cole Allen, a 31-year-old teacher from California, who released a manifesto suggesting he sought to target administration officials. Trump says the dinner will be rescheduled within 30 days, and he made this announcement just shortly after the attack. He really wasn't as rattled as I would have been, I'm going to tell you. Elon Musk's lawsuit against OpenAI and its CEO Sam Altman and several others, including Microsoft, heads to court today with jury selection in Oakland, California. Opening arguments are expected tomorrow. Musk co-founded OpenAI alongside Altman and several others in 2015 with a founding mission to develop artificial intelligence to benefit all of humanity, unencumbered by corporate interests. Musk alleges he was misled when he donated tens of millions of dollars on the understanding it would remain a non-profit. OpenAI transitioned to a public benefit corporation in October of last year. The trial, which centers on 2 claims, unjust enrichment and breach of charitable trust, comes in the lead up to OpenAI's potential public filing later this year. The company is targeting a $1 trillion valuation. Musk seeks up to $134 billion to be returned to OpenAI's nonprofit arm and wants OpenAI to be forced to return to the nonprofit status. Among high-profile tech leaders who could testify are Musk, Sam Altman, and OpenAI's co-founder Greg Brockman and Microsoft's CEO. Turning to the Wall Street news, Federal Reserve officials meet this week as the war in the Middle East reaches the 2-month mark, creating continued uncertainty about the impact on the economy. It's likely to keep the central bank holding interest rates where they are. Now, you know I've said this for a few weeks that on his way out the door. I mean, this should be the last FOMC with Jerome Powell at the helm. His term expires the 15th of next month. And because of the grudge match he has with Trump, I thought he was really going to shaft the American people with a rate increase. And I'm not going to completely rule it out, but the word on the street is he's not going to raise rates. There was a lot of talk about that, even as we read the minutes of the last FOMC. They were talking about how you don't heal a broken economy by raising interest rates. I mean, I'm no economist. I don't even play one on the radio. But Jiminy crickets. Whatever. Of course, there's still uncertainty about how this war is going to be resolved, and oil prices have been volatile, but they're still well above where they were before the war started. And so that will eventually have an impact on the economy, according to former Cleveland Federal Reserve President Loretta Mester. Policymakers are weighing the war's impact on inflation and growth, waiting to see how severe it will be, depending upon how long the war lasts. I think we should just go in and finish the job. This morning at the open on Wall Street, U.S. stocks edged lower as investors assessed a reported Iran proposal to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, which was just a bad joke. And Microsoft said its exclusive partnership with OpenAI is ending. From Bloomberg, China has decided to block Meta Platforms' $2 billion acquisition of agentic AI startup Manus, a surprise move to unwind a controversial deal that's drawn fire for the leakage of technology to the U.S. The National Development and Reform Commission ordered the deal's cancellation in a brief statement today. The powerful state planner said in a one-line notice that it's decided to prohibit foreign investment in the startup in accordance with law and regulations without elaborating. This ruling is likely to send a chill through China's AI sector. Their economy is on very shaky ground. All that cheap oil they used to get from Iran, well, they're not getting it. Now, this proposal that Iran has given to reopen the strait and end the war includes postponing nuclear negotiations. That's a non-starter. It's not going to happen. The plan, which was conveyed through mediators in Pakistan to break a stalemate with Washington, calls for extending the ceasefire so the parties can work toward a permanent end of the fighting. Now, that's code for they need time to put the pieces back together and start enriching that uranium again. Nuclear talks would come later, only after a U.S. blockade of the strait is lifted. That dog won't hunt. Tech stocks did rise slightly, led by a 13% gain pre-market in Qualcomm and an extended gain for Nvidia, which hit a record high on Friday. Microsoft declined after the company announced an amended long-term agreement with OpenAI that will no longer give it exclusive access to the AI startup's intellectual property and AI models. The agreement also altered its revenue sharing deal with OpenAI. Turning to Washington, when Assistant Secretary of Health Alex Adams led the Idaho Department of Health and Welfare, he ended the state's orphan tax. Now he is helping every other state do the same thing. Adams, who leads the administration of children and families at the Department of Health and Human Services, said, "We've got a long way to go, but we're going to keep at this. I think it's morally wrong, and we're going to use every lever available to us." When parents die before withdrawing their Social Security benefits and their children subsequently enter the foster care system, about 30 states have a policy of taking the benefits to pay for their care instead of that money going directly to the child. Every child in the foster care system costs the state the same amount, but only orphans are expected to pay their own way. That's why it's called the orphan tax. States are taxing orphans at 100% of their benefits to offset government expenses. As you guys know, my wife and I, we have a lot of experience with the foster care system. Both of our children are adopted. And it's a racket. Boy, is it. And the left, I mean, they don't want you to parent your children. They want them to be dependent on the state. A new report from Mississippi State Auditor Shad White has uncovered that illegal aliens in the state of Mississippi received at least $10.5 million in Medicaid benefits between 2023 and 2025. If this money had gone to benefit lawful citizens, it could have reduced taxes, paid teachers, paid police officers. Frankly, anything would be better than serving as a magnet for illegal immigrants to come to the United States. Now, again, that's from Shad White. He is the Mississippi State Auditor. He went on to say, Mississippi taxpayers deserve to know the cost of illegal immigrants in our state, even if it makes some folks uncomfortable. My team will always tell you how your money is being spent, warts and all. Get 'em. And last on the news front, Cole Allen dubbed himself the friendly federal assassin in a manifesto he fired off to relatives roughly 10 minutes before storming a security checkpoint at Saturday night's White House Correspondents' Dinner. The document, which a family member provided to law enforcement, outlined Allen's plan to target Trump administration officials in order of rank while carving out an exception for FBI Director Kash Patel. I know everybody said, huh? Now, this is according to the New York Post. Allen wrote in his manifesto, I am no longer willing to permit a pedophile, rapist, and traitor to coat my hands with his crimes. Allen noted in the document that he selected buckshot instead of slugs to lower the risk of rounds passing through walls. He expressed hope that bystander casualties could be avoided, but indicated he would push past other attendees to reach his intended targets. The 31-year-old also taunted the Washington Hilton security posture in the manifesto, claiming he walked into the hotel carrying multiple weapons without drawing any suspicion. Yeah, some heads are rolling over at the Secret Service today over this whole thing. You know, and if you're the president and you're depending on these guys to protect you, it's an uncomfortable situation. All right. Let's go to Logic 247. That's our 24/7 around the clock E-mini alert service. Last week, week 403, we issued a total of 74 alerts, 15 never triggered. We had 59 actionable alerts. We only had 4 stopouts. 7% of the actionable alerts were stopped out. Now, so far this week, since the market opened last night at 6 p.m. Eastern, we issued a total of 14 alerts, and when Valerie did the recap this morning at 6:30 a.m. Eastern, we were still waiting on the outcome of 9. Over the last 404 weeks, we've issued over 22,100 individual handcrafted alerts. And what we've averaged on a weekly basis is 20% or less of the alerts being stopped out based simply on market structure. A simple process we teach all of our passport holders. Every logic alert has an entry price, long or short, then an initial target, in most cases additional targets, and then a final trade to target. The purpose of the logic alerts is to help you learn how to read a chart. if you never actually trade a logic alert, you can still use them for the purpose intended. When you look at a chart, if you see chaos, trust me, it's not chaos. There's a rhyme, there's a reason, there's a rhythm. And you've got to learn to know where to expect potential resistance and potential support. In doing so, you reveal the windows of opportunity where you'll find your best high probability, low risk trade opportunities. So again, because the logic alerts come out around the clock. We've got traders around the globe, futures trade around the clock. Our day session is their night session, and vice versa. So a lot of the logic alerts will trigger during the Asian session or the European session. And so you're sleeping, you don't have an opportunity to trade the ones that trigger overnight if you're here in the US. But you can still use them to learn to read the chart. It is so important. If your goal is to trade for a living, you gotta learn how to read the chart. "404 weeks is a long time, 7.5 years, roughly. But many years before we introduced Logic 247, we had our original alert service, the concierge trade alerts. Now, they're different in a lot of different ways. But for the purpose of this discussion, I'll just say they typically come out 5 minutes ahead of the Globex Open each evening. Last night, they didn't go out until 8:36 p.m. Eastern because I was traveling yesterday. And so I got home and I got to work as soon as I could. So normally that number will say 5:55 p.m. Eastern, like it did Thursday. Okay. But I let everybody know in the discussion group that I was going to be late last night. But here's the bottom line, then we can go to the charts. All of our traders had all of these targets at this time. The S&P 500, the Dow, the Russell, crude oil, the NQ, gold, and silver. Now, while I'm thinking about it, you've already rolled your gold to the June contract, so we can take that out. Okay. All right. So now we can go to the charts. We'll start where we always do with the daily chart of the S&P 500 E-mini futures, the bellwether. Last night we put in a new all-time historic. We put in a new all-time historic high on Friday, 7,200 half, and then last night we ran up to 7,208 half. New all-time historic high. I know that says 7,209. It's just hard to get it on the daily chart. It's hard to get it exactly on there, but you can see on the pop-up. That is the new all-time historic high. The NQ put in a new all-time high on Friday. Now, price always reverts to the mean. I don't care what you trade or how you trade it. Whether you know it or not, price always reverts to the mean. In our case, the mean is green. Call it the BBC. Stands for bull bear cross. When price crosses below the green line, we're bearish and expect lower prices. When price crosses above the green line, we're bullish and expect higher prices. It's pretty simple. But what's pretty cool is this. Price always reverts to the mean. The pullback holds more often than it doesn't. Right here, you've got a leg and a retracement. Pullback held. Leg and a retracement. Leg and a retracement. Then we drop below the BBC, and we got a leg and a retracement. Pullback held, and it held, and it held. And then we closed back above the BBC, and the pullback held. That pullback held for 1, 2, 3, 4 days. Now this was a head fake to the downside, quickly reversed the following day. But as we started to get into this downtrend, leg retracement, leg retracement, leg retracement. Now, I know this candle is above the green line, but as long as it's physically touching, that's a hold. The pullback held. And as we really got cooking with the downtrend, leg retracement, pullback held. Now, we touched the BBC on March 5th. We didn't touch it again till April 6th. So you can look at this with a broad stroke, okay, leg retracement, or you can break it down, leg retracement, leg retracement, leg retracement. But the strength of this downtrend was so strong, we went an entire month without physically touching the BBC. That's somewhat unusual. Now, once we opened and closed above the BBC, we go from bearish to bullish. Okay. Red and falling is bearish, blue and climbing is bullish. So when we put in this low on March 31st, see, we had a leg and a retracement. The pullback held, the pullback held, the pullback held till this day, April 9th, when we opened and closed without touching the BBC. That's when we officially go from bear status to bull status. Now, the black step line, okay, that's important on this powerful move up that we've had. Look at how they're running parallel. But look at how they get closer and closer and closer together. When the black step line crosses blue and climbing, as it has done, what typically happens is you see a retracement back to the BBC. This is not a normal market. These are not normal market conditions. The fact that we crossed way back on April 20th, and now we're 7 days later on the 27th, price should be dropping. So that's why I want to caution you on the upside. You know, somehow Wall Street is managing to trade through this whole war thing and higher crude prices. But keep in mind, this is a market now that's moved more by headlines than anything else. So trade what's in front of you, but just know the market is due for a retracement. Now, the first step would be to close below the black step line. Then you've got a double bottom right here, these two candles. Then you've got this area right here. So you got the wick sticking up and the wick sticking down. You put your crosshair right in the middle. 70.56 should be good support. Then we have the 24% fib retracement, and then the daily BBC. Blue and climbing is directly above price. So if price doesn't do what it normally does and retrace to the BBC, it's going to have a hard time trading through blue and climbing. Not that it can't happen, but chances of it happening are pretty slim. So again, you know, this is big picture. This is daily. Definitely in an uptrend, but the retracement's coming. That's just how markets work. Price always reverts to the mean. And we make it simple. Just follow the green line. Now, all the alerts, both the Logic 247 alerts and the Concierge Trade alerts, are created on a 30-minute chart. There's nothing magic about 30 minutes. It's just the time frame I chose years ago, and I've stuck with it. They say if it's not broke, leave it alone. And it's definitely not broke. The vertical line you see here, okay, that separates today Monday. Back over here is Friday. And if I scrolled back, you'd see Thursday. The horizontal lines are the weekly trading zones. When price drops to a weekly zone, we expect support until proven otherwise. When price rallies up to a weekly trading zone, we expect resistance until proven otherwise. We've published the zones every Monday for over 16 years. So our traders have had the benefit of the zones for a very long time. A lot of our traders say they couldn't trade without them. So they come out Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. I get them out early so you have plenty of time to get them on your charts before Wall Street even wakes up for the week. Last night we had a gap lower open. As you can see, this candle right here. This is where we closed Friday, off the high of the session. Okay, there's that all-time historic high that we put in on Friday. What was the high on this candle? Okay, so the high of this candle is 2 ticks lower than the high of this candle. That's a sign of weakness. Now look here what happened. See how the black step line crossed blue and climbing? So what did price do? It reverted to the mean or pulled back to the VBC. Now again, these are 30-minute candles, okay? So the pullback held for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candles, 2.5 hours. And then off we go. Now again, the alerts didn't come out till 8:36 last night, so that would be during the life of this candle. So simply buying the open of this candle right here, we opened at, we'll call it 71.91. We ran up 5 points to the target. You only need 2 points to get your goal for the day. But we traded through the long target to the zone. Now these are last week's zones. Why am I showing you last week's zones? Because the new zones, I don't publish them until Monday morning, 6:15 a.m. Eastern. So any alerts that I put out on a Sunday night are based on last week's zones. Tomorrow during this broadcast, you'll see this week's zones. Our traders got them at 6:15 this morning. So every alert I send out for the rest of this week will be based on the new zones. But price really respects the zones. So it's important, get them on your chart as soon as they come out Monday morning. Once they're published Monday morning, they're carved in stone for the entire week. They don't change in any way whatsoever. So the zones you're looking at were published last Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. But as you can see, they're still effective today. That's the carryover power of the zones. So we run into resistance. Now, whenever the market finds support, it's going to go look for resistance. When it finds resistance, it's going to go look for support. We got below the BBC. This low right here. The London Open was pretty quiet. Now this low, here's a good example. On this candle, see the wick sticking up and you see the wick sticking down? Put your crosshair right between the two. And that's this low right here. That's market structure, okay? Support sends the market looking for resistance. So we had a lag and a retracement, and the pullback held, and it held, and it held, and then we broke through and found resistance at the long target. So it's been a game of pong from the long target back to the BBC, back to the long target, back to the BBC, back to the long target, back to the BBC, and now we find ourselves currently at the long target. Okay. Now, the next zone overhead this week, like I said, tomorrow you'll see this week's zones on my screen. The zone overhead is 7214/15, right in here. And the zone below is 7180. So the low of this candle was 7177. So we overshot the new zone by like 3 points, but then we popped right back up. Okay, so we spiked the zone and then recovered. That zone 7180/7181. But you'll see them on the charts tomorrow. It's been kind of a quiet, sleepy market. Just trading sideways. Look back at last week, we had some pretty decent volatility. Now the next resistance overhead is 71.99. What's the high of this candle so far? 97.25. If you're looking for a long trade, 72.02 to 72.04 or 05. That would give you your goal for the day. Use your smaller time frame to enter the trade with surgical precision. The Dow. Another snooze fest. Dow's been kind of range bound for days. This was the open last night. So we had a leg and a retracement, a leg and a retracement. Just not much to see here. The zone, we spiked it, but it did serve as good resistance. Now, notice that this high right here, 49,522, we took out that candle by just a couple of points, but it's basically a double top right there. So there's your resistance overhead, and support below is really the low of this candle here. Now, in order for price to get there, of course, it's got to take out this low, and this low. But once this low gets taken out, that should be a great trade. I'm going to be changing the zones, but it'll still show up. Okay. This whole area right here. That's a window of opportunity based simply on market structure. Top of the window, 49,165. It's about an 80-point window of opportunity. Okay. You only need 20 points on the Dow to get your goal for the day. So this window of opportunity represents 4 times your daily goal. Now, people always ask me, well, how far left do I have to look? As far as you need to. This high, we only had to look to here. Obviously, the long target was based on the high of Friday, but we didn't get there, at least not yet. This low was back on Thursday. Now, the zone is 49,020/25. And the low of that candle was 36. Then we missed it by just a little bit. But we went from zone right up to the zone overhead. Resistance, resistance. Now, when price encounters a weekly trading zone, only one of 3 things happens. 70% of the time, it's this, consolidation. 20% of the time, it's this, rejection. 10% of the time, the slice. That's when a 30-minute candle slices through a zone like it's not even there. When that happens, and the move runs out of steam, price will typically retrace back to the zone it sliced through. And under normal market conditions, it will then continue in the direction of the slice. Didn't happen. We just couldn't stay above the zone. We spiked it again today, but here we sit. Market's barely moving. The Russell. This was the open last night. Now again, the zones didn't come out till 8:30, so it was this candle right here. Normally they come out 5 minutes ahead of the open. Today, God willing, they will come out at 5:55 p.m. Eastern. So the zones came out. This candle, or the open of this candle. This candle right here opened at 27.96 and ran all the way up to 28.02. You only need 2 points to get your goal for the day. Leg retracement, leg retracement, leg retracement. Now you see blue and climbing has turned to red and falling. It means we're probably going to see lower prices. You've got potential support here, here, right here where red turned to blue. That's a really important spot. It's important price, important area. If you trade the Russell, you should write it down, 27.87. If the market starts to really drop, you should get some good support there, at least good enough for a bounce. Okay. Then we got these lows and then the short target. On the NQ, we had a gap lower open last night. And then we got a leg that took us through the long target. Yeah, that was a new high on Friday. Now we got a higher high today. So we shot through the long target. Now right here, you see the black step line crossed, blue and climbing. So price comes back to the BBC. The pullback holds more often than it doesn't, but eventually it will trade through. You see the pullback held here, 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 and here. But right here, it finally traded through. And then it made one more attempt to the upside, and the fact that it couldn't get back to the early highs of the session last night, that's a sign of weakness. And that weakness took us right down to the short target. Right there. And then we caught a bounce, and then we hit it again. Support always sends a market looking for resistance. So right now we're pulling back to the BBC. Pullback holds more often than not. Crude oil. Gap higher open on crude last night. We opened right at the weekly trading zone. So we had a leg and a retracement. Leg and a retracement. Leg and a retracement. If crude can overcome this obstacle in its path right now, the black step line, 96.70 to 97.10 will be conservative. $96.70. That's about $400 per contract traded. The markets, if nothing happens with the Iran situation, markets may just waddle sideways until we get the Fed announcement on Wednesday. So at 2 p.m. Eastern, that's when we get the Fed announcement on Wednesday. So there'll be a lot of volatility when the Fed announcement comes out, whatever it is, whether he keeps rates the same, raises them, lowers them, whatever, there'll be some volatility. But then at 2:30, he'll hold a press conference, Jerome will, and he'll deliver a prepared statement and then take questions from the audience. That's when the markets get really volatile, depending upon how he answers those questions. And considering this may be his last FOMC, I don't think he's going to pull any punches. We'll see. Gold, wah wah, gap lower open, but then we caught a nice bounce, but we didn't make it right here where blue turned to red. Sign of weakness. Black step line crosses, we pull back to the BBC. Then we get below the BBC and the pullback hill. Now we haven't made it all the way to the short target yet, but you can see that the black step line, if we consolidate sideways 1 or 2 more candles, the black step line is going to cross red and falling. If that happens, then we should get a retracement back to the BBC. If we can overcome the BBC, then we're back to the long target, which we hit last night very nicely, 9 o'clock. Last but not least, silver. Gap lower open, and the opening low this area right here from Friday. Support sends a market looking for resistance. So you got a leg and a retracement back to the BBC. And then a leg, when red and falling gets directly below price, it's usually on its way to becoming blue and climbing. So it becomes support. So you've got a zone there, and you've got red and falling directly below price. So that's support times 2. It pushed us right up to the long target, which was based off where blue turned to red back on Friday, right there. It's really simple. It's very simple to learn to read the chart. You just got to show up and do the work. And so where are we now? We're hovering around last week's zone, 75.21/22. With silver, it only takes 2 pennies to get your goal for the day. Now, this was a real gift right here. 75, let's call it 76 bucks. It opened at 75.99 half. So it ran up basically 55 cents. About $2,500 per contract traded in that one candle right there. Now we're just quiet. We're right below last week's zone. We just found resistance there. Step lines trying to cross, red and falling. That'll send us back up. I just don't see much happening today. And with all that's going on in the world, you'd think this market would be running to the downside. But we keep putting in new all-time historic highs. We're defying gravity, but trust me, trees don't grow to the sky, and the markets don't go up forever. And the further this thing pushes, the more painful it's going to be for investors when the correction comes. Although this is going to be a pretty shallow retracement. Remember, we should get a bounce at the 24% fib, and then once we hit the daily BBC, pull back holes more often than not. But based on what the Fed does on Wednesday and what Trump does, I mean, all it takes is one Truth Social post from him to move the markets in a grand way. So, I believe I hear Mr. Michael.
That is me.
How you doing?
I am okay.
Good.
Okay. So far.
Well, I'm ready for you if you're ready.
All right. Bring it over here. All the way across the country. Just like that.
Just like that. Okay. All right. Looks good.
All right. Here we go.
I'll see you in 30.
All right, that sounds good. 30 minutes. Clock starts now. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Today is Monday, the 27th day of April, 2026. Now, if you have not taken a free trial with us and you want to, go here to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button. There is no credit card required for this trial. Just click on that purple button and it will bring you to this page, this registration page, where all that we ask for is your name, your email, and your phone number. Yeah, down at the bottom, give us your TradingView login ID. Okay, if you don't have a TradingView login ID, then just let us know that you don't have one. And actually click on this link right here. Don't let us know. Click on this link right here and get one. Click on that link. It's going to bring you to this page. Watch this video. Follow the rules in that video. One of them includes clicking on this link. When you click on that link, all you need to do is choose monthly right there and get the essential. The essential will be free for the first 30 days. So you don't have to pay for that, but you do have to pay for real-time data. The real-time data is a pretty simple process too. During the sign-up process, it'll prompt you to sign up for real-time data. The thing that you need to sign up for is this guy right here, the CME group. Now, for me, it costs $7 a month. Depending where you live, you might have to pay taxes on that, so it might be about $8, depending where you live. But that's all you really have to do. That will get you all signed up and ready to go. Now, results. Let's see this. Make this an 86 while we're here. And this for 27. We only had one tick on Friday. But we'll get to all this in just a minute. And the market's painfully slow right now, so it may be another one tick day again. Who knows? Maybe it'll be less. This is an 86. All right. So results for today. We had a dismal day. It was, well, I mean, it was just slow. Right? We ended up with 19 trades in total. It took us 45 minutes. We only had 2 stop outs, and it took us 45 minutes still to get the goal for the day. Well, at that point, we only had 2 stop outs. Anyway, if you're going to read the spreadsheet, you have to read all the CBTC risk disclosures down at the bottom today. We made 40 ticks on the NQ. We lost 65 on the Russell. There was 3 stop outs on the Russell. Out of 5 trades, 3 of them were stop outs on the Russell. 17 ticks on the YM and 18 ticks on the ES. So that is the biggest down day we've had on the Russell. I don't know, a very long time. This year, for sure. Yeah, I'm not going to bother going through it all, but in a very long time. The Russell isn't usually that complicated, but it was today. We were up 18 on the ES. That put us at $185 a contract. It doesn't seem right. 18 on the ES, that's what, 225 by itself. 40 over here, that's under 200, so that's 425. Yeah, I guess that's right. Anyway, today it took 45 minutes and 10 trades to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up $1,550, and we took a total of 19 trades with 4 stop outs. So only 78% of our trades today were break even or better. Now, on the month, we're $11,980 over 15 business days, averaging $798 per contract for 2-hour business day. That is really low. And that's bringing this number down too. On the year, we're at $78,285 over 69 business days, averaging $1,134 per contract for a 2-hour business day. So we're going to get to the halfway point in the year before you know it. I want that to be over 1,200 when we get there. All this stuff in Iran should be wrapped up by then. You'll see, we'll be controlling Iran by then. We'll have the U.S. Embassy will be the new capital of Iran. I'm just joking. Anyway, the 24/20 blueprint. If you were to quit trading when you got the goal for the day and add 1 contract per month, so far this year, you would have only had to work 9.4 hours. You'd be up $24,785. That's if you did everything exactly as I did and you get the same slippage I did and everything else. Averaging $2,636 per hour, right? $26.36 per hour. Now, that's it. Let's go see what we did. Do we have any trades right now? We do not. All right, so let's go take a look at what we did and can do right now. Let me move this there, and that there, and that there. Move this down here. Okay. All right. So here we go. These are all our trades right here on the Russell. Our very first trade on the Russell, we picked up 5 ticks. That was part of getting the goal for the day. Then the next trade, we stopped out. That put us at minus 20. Then we picked up 10. That got us to minus 15. Then we stopped out again. That put us at minus 40. And then we stopped out again, and that put us at minus 65. And then we didn't trade it again. And they really were, well, this is during the break. That would have been a break even if we'd have gotten it. That was not a trade. That was not a trade. So though we had some activity pretty early on, it dried up on the remainder of the morning session. The YM, we only had these 2 trades. The first one was plus 10 and the second one was plus 7. So we had 17 ticks total on the YM. And the ES, this was most of our day. This was our whole day here on the ES, right? We ended up getting the goal on this trade right here, I think. Yeah, that one right there. That was our first ES trade. We got 8 ticks on that one, then 3 more there to get us to 11. Then it looks like 4 more there to get us to 15, then 3 more there to get us to 18, and then whatever I got on that one, I didn't count. I think it was 1 tick. So that would get us to 19. And that was it. During the break, there was 1 trade right here. That would have been a little bit of a profit. 1 trade right here that eventually would have been profit. Took a long time to get there, though. You had to wait through all those bars. I mean, I know that's not long, but it'll seem like an eternity when you're in the trade compared to what we normally do. That's 9 minutes. And this was not a valid trade. This was, so this would have been a trade here that just happened recently. And that was it for the ES. We ended up with plus 18 on the ES, or plus 19, really, I think. The NQ, we didn't have a ton of trades on the NQ, though we had more trades on the NQ than anything else. And we started out, our very first trade on the NQ was a stop out. Stopped us out pretty much to the tick right here. And then eventually it went down, came back, and we got in on the second one. We picked up 10 ticks on that one, 10 ticks on that one, 10 ticks on that one. Then here we got a little bit more than 10 ticks. We actually got, no, actually we did get 10 ticks on that one. We got 10 ticks on that one. And then on this one, we got 10 more ticks. And then finally, we got a little bit more on this trade here. We got a little bit more than 10 ticks. Right, we went from 14 to 30. So we ended up with, so this is the way it went. We went from minus 36 to minus 26 to minus 16 to minus 6 to plus 4 to plus 14. And then that finally gets us here. So everything except for the first one and this one were 10 ticks. And this one we went from 14 to 30, so it was 16 ticks. And then this one, 10 ticks to 40. And that was it. That brings us pretty much current. I'm looking to see what we had for trades. There's 1 right there during the break. And that was it. So the markets have been just dead today. DED, dead. All right. What do you guys got? Anybody have any questions or anything like that? Anyone? Anyone? I don't see any questions. All right, so what we will do then is we'll say we're going to trade from now to the end. And that makes this number 821. All right, so I'll just sit here and see if we get any trade setups. We're not going to have one here on up close because that one didn't go full cycle. We're not going to have one here because this was the actual trade back here a few minutes ago. Not there, not there. So we're just gonna wait for trades right now. Go all the way out here to 7, maybe even go to 8. Let's see what we got going on here. Things are just so slow today. I don't know what symbol that is. What is that? EPS. Things are so slow. So this is today's bar right there. Who knows where that's going to go? All right. So we're going to have 19 long minutes here if the markets stay like this. Go look at some of the things. Change this to IBIT. IBIT. There's the iShares Bitcoin Trust on the NQ. Now, I've noticed something about this IBIT. It's an IBIT character. If you look at it on a 6-hour, odd, I don't have a 6-hour in there. If you look at it on a 6-hour, and let's change this so it's not a step line. Regular line. Still watching these guys to see if we have any trades. We don't yet. Let's look at this on the 6-hour. And if we actually throw in some other stuff on there. Why is that not showing? Oh, I see. I got the different version here on this one. Get rid of that. Put the other version. I have my own version. This one. I'll get rid of that. Because I can leave that on. I'll put that on instead. And get rid of that. All right. So at the 9:30 point on the 6-hour, what I'm interested in is the direction of this black line at the 9:30. Okay, is it going up or down? Is it divergent from anything? This is all inside the it's all inside the 2 range tree that you guys have access to. There's other stuff that I'm looking at in there too on the 6-hour, but the IBIT thing, the 3:30 to 9:30. If you look at this, there's usually a gap between the 3:30 and 9:30. See, there's almost always a gap in there. If we can capture that gap, consistently capture that gap, then that would be a very good thing. You can consistently say, you're going to buy puts right here consistently. and then bail out of them first thing in the morning. Why do I think it is so slow today, Bob? Well, if we were to take a look at the volume today, let's put one of those guys on there.
You know, we didn't talk about it this morning, but, you know, there's a FOMC on Wednesday.
Oh, there is?
Yeah.
Okay, well, there's one more thing. One more thing. All right, so this is our volume today. This is our volume Friday. We're only halfway through the day, so it's possible that the volume will pick up. Why is it not showing me? It's not showing me anything when I click on it. Let me go back. That is on. There it goes. There we go. So the volume so far today is 700,000. And yesterday, yesterday's volume was 1.3 million. So 700,000 right now. The volume's not off that much. It's just not going anywhere. It doesn't have any direction. I mean, it's slowly going up. It's very, very slowly grinding up. The NQ is almost going to trade here. NQ needs an up close. It'll be a trade. Okay. So the numbers on that, 96 up to 106 right now.
Bob's your uncle. I haven't heard from you in ages. Did you see his? Were you reading his question in the question box?
Yeah, I talked to him last week.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah, he's just trying to give us conversation.
I see. Yeah.
94.75 up to 104.75 now.
Yeah, when I went through all the big picture stuff before you came on, everything's just creeping sideways.
Mm-hmm.
It may do that until Wednesday.
It's waiting.
Yeah, and the word on the street is that Jerome's going to leave rates flat, unchanged.
They canceled that. I mean, they got rid of the lawsuit against him for the building.
Oh yeah, because he said he wasn't going to leave. He's going to refuse to leave the building until they drop the lawsuit. So, has Warsh got confirmed yet?
No, nope.
We're coming up on the deadline here. This should be Jerome's last FOMC.
Should be. We are too low now on the NQ.
He has been kind enough to say if Warsh doesn't get confirmed, he'll be happy to stick around.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, but no thanks.
Yes, thank you. You can go. Don't let the door hit you.
We get a new Fed in there, and he drops rates a couple points. I mean, I don't know. We just put in a new all-time historic high last night. We put in one Friday, another one today. NQ put in a new all-time high. Against a backdrop of, I mean, this market's hard to figure out.
Yeah, just get to trade what's in front of you.
Yeah.
So, Dwayne, were you listening when I showed this? This is something I figured out this weekend, this IBIT thing.
No, I didn't. I wasn't.
That's the iShares Bitcoin Trust.
Okay, yeah, I'm familiar with that. I've never looked at it on a chart.
It's on a 6-hour chart. So the signal comes out at 3:30 in the afternoon, and there's almost always a gap the next morning. The gap in between there and there, gap in between there and there, gap between there and there, there and there. It's almost always a gap between the close and the open on the next day. So
yeah, because that's a reflection of what happened with the trading overnight in the Asian markets and the European markets.
So the way to take advantage of that is to buy options before the close and and sell them at the open. That is the way to take advantage of that. They just got to know which way the gap's going to go. That's the key. I did while I had my guy, which I still haven't fixed, do a ton of research. You know, I made it do over 75 million things over the weekend.
Wow.
Apparently.
And now it's not responding?
Yeah, no, I broke it. You had to take Sunday off. You didn't work all day yesterday.
I'm sure Xander can help you with that. He goes by Xander now instead of little d.
Xander?
Yeah, he said it's short for Alexander the Great.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, because like at church, when we'd call him little d, and there were, young ladies his age around, he's like,
Yeah, don't call me that anymore.
Don't call me little d,
I know.
Okay.
There's people in my family still call me little Michael. and I'm taller than everyone in my family. On that side, anyway.
So have you had any trade setups at all in this session?
Nope.
Not a one. Wow.
Not a one. Nope. On Friday, we only had one.
Really?
This session, we haven't had a single one yet. That's why I was branching out and looking at other stuff. See the volume today, and the volume's not off, really. We're halfway through the day. We got 707,000 in volume. On Friday, the whole day, we had 1.4 million. So about the same volume as Friday, which isn't great.
Well, most of the volume comes in by noon on most days. But we're in earnings season. I don't know who's reporting after the bell today.
Let's look at the weekly. Now, last week, see the volume on the weekly has been declining for 2 months now. And obviously it's the first day of the week this week, so we're not going to have much. But it's been declining considerably. This is on the ESN. Let's just go to the ES exclamation point. So it has a continuous contract. And we'll see. Since back here in March, volume's been going down steadily. Just a little bit every week. What was this? Was this December? Yeah, that was the week of December. Christmas week there. Volume was pretty low. But it's hard to watch. You don't have any trades in there. And if we now go to monthly, we're almost at the end of the month, so we can go to monthly right now and see this month the volume is way off of last month. The volume this month, 27.5 million. The volume last month, 42.7. But the 27.5, there's plenty of volatility when we had this kind of volume in it right here. On these months where it was pretty similar to what we have right now. There's a ton of volatility in there. So it's not really the volume, it's just what the volume is doing. It doesn't seem like it's doing much. There's another volume indicator that's buys versus sells, if I remember right. Volume delta, I think that might be it. Yeah. So there's a lot of people buying right now, is what it is. And this is on the monthly chart, right? There's more buying than selling right now on the monthly. And if we go to the weekly, still more buying than selling. So that's why we're having this slow grind up right here. It's interesting, but boring at the same time. Hey, this is a trade here on the YM. I can get into it still. There, I just took it. That's a valid trade right there. I just got on it. It looks like it's probably not going to work out that well, but here it is. The actual entry on that should have been 21 and a minute 11. Okay, so I got a very good entry on that. And we'll see if it even works out. I'm gonna leave her complaint. Yeah, my assistant. I put him to work. It was Sunday morning at 5 a.m. He was saying, "We have covered a lot of ground today. You need to go to sleep."
I'm sending Xander a telegram right now, and
Okay.
so he'll probably telegram you, and he can probably tell you. I'm sure he's experienced this. He's like light years ahead of me. We started at the same time with OpenClaw. Now he's light years ahead of me.
Okay. Cool. Yes. We're at plus 10 on that. All right. So on the YM, we ended up with plus 10 on that one. So we have one trade plus 10. It's not a trade list session. It's just like right. One.
This is the message he just sent me back. I said, "Here's Michael's Telegram contact info. He was doing a bunch of stuff over the weekend, and now OpenClaw is not responding. Introduce yourself via Telegram and let him know you're available to help out." And he just sent me a message back. "I'm meeting with Plaid tomorrow." Because I told you U-Haul cut his hours.
Yep.
So
Plaid,
they help
verification thing.
They help apps securely connect to bank data.
Yep.
I want to use it so Noelle, my finance agent in Mission Control, can read my balances and debt info to help me budget. But she won't be able to move money or make payments. So, I mean, he's got all these sub agents. He can explain it better. He just sent me a message. I'll shoot him a text in a little bit. So.
Okay. Well, I'm going to be running around, and I have another meeting with Jimmy here coming up. I got Bart going. Bart was pretty easy to get going, as I thought he would be. They changed his machine ID. He has the geeks come to his house every time he has a problem, and every time they come to the house, they mess things up as far as his charts go. Every time. He's on like this
How much do they charge him?
Well, he's on some package. He has unlimited geek visits.
Oh, wow.
So he takes advantage of it. Every time they come to his house, they screw up his computer. And so he said, as soon as we started talking, he's like, "I feel like I occupy a disproportionate amount of your time." Right? Yeah. You're the only person I've talked to more than once in the last 2 weeks for help. Fixing the computer.
He just sent you a message. He copied me on what he sent you.
Okay. Okie doke. There it is. Michael.
I can start by checking whether OpenClaw is running locally, whether the dashboard is reachable, whether Telegram is still connected, and whether there are any model API provider errors causing it to hang. Please send me the device it's running on, what changed recently, and any screenshots or error messages you have.
Okay, I don't have any error messages, but I can send him stuff.
Okay.
I'll get with him. I got to do it from my laptop because that's where that one lives.
Okay. Well, I can access Dave from my phone or from my desktop.
Yeah.
In Telegram.
Yeah, I can too. It's just that one lives on my laptop. So if I try to do stuff to it from here, it's not exactly the same as doing stuff from there. Because I did that. I created another one. I created one on this desktop and I created one on my laptop. And I accidentally did them both in the same bot for Telegram. And so they were competing against each other to answer my questions. And of course that means twice as many hits to data and everything else, and it slowed things down. They got jammed up. So I had to get rid of one, and it said, if you're gonna work on me on your laptop. And MJ3 is on my desktop. MJ4 is on my laptop. just waiting. We're not going to have anything. All right. That's how we're going to wrap it up, guys. It's time. So I will not belabor this any longer. This is how I'm going to wrap it up for today. 10 ticks on the YM. $500 with 10 contracts on, 50 with one trade, 0 stop outs, 21 minutes. Our average is going down now. Average number of minutes, I mean. So this one right here, that big day we had on Thursday last week, that wiped out almost all of the days that I didn't get the goal for the day. I didn't get the I didn't end positive. All of them but $3,000 or $300 per contract. That was enough to clear all this.
That was a killer day. Yeah.
It was a big day. Well, having 3 out of 4 of them run right to target all at once was a big part of that.
Yeah.
But anyway, we are still averaging the goal for the day, more than the goal for the day in this session. $124 per contract in this session is what our average is. And we're averaging 15.87 minutes of trading. So it's all good. Now, if you have not taken a free trial with us, go here to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button, no credit card required. When you click on that, bring it to the registration page. Oops, not there. Bring in the registration page, just fill out the registration page. When you do, they'll be sent a link to get into the room, and we will get indicated. If you give us this trading view login ID, we'll get your indicators indicating for you on your desktop. And that is it. With that, I can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona in Studio A overlooking southbound America's largest city park. Dwayne is ready.
Yep. Okay. Recap of the morning session.
Well, hold on. Here we are. Nope. Here we are. Today it took 45 minutes and 10 trades to get to $1,550.
Good job. I know it was a grind.
Yes. Yeah.
Hopefully tomorrow will be a little better, but I don't know.
Hopefully.
The Fed coming Wednesday. Probably Thursday. Wednesday, we'll see a lot of action, a lot of volatility, no matter what Powell does.
Yep. Those first few minutes tomorrow, first 15, 20 minutes are the big deal, probably, like they were today.
So here's what my daily looks like, and it looks like we're trying to take out the all-time historic high was 72.8.5. That was put in overnight. 72.8.5, and we're currently at 72.05. This is just, I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen a market quite like this. There we go. It's making a run at the all-time high.
There it goes. I think it's going to get it.
All right, guys, I went through every market in granular fashion, as I do each and every day. If you missed any part of today's broadcast, about 10 minutes after I sign off, go to youtube.com/CFRN. You can watch today's broadcast in its entirety, or you can just fast forward to whatever part you missed or want to see. It's all there for you. There's currently over 3,000 daily episodes archived for your educational and viewing pleasure. And if you're new to our neck of the woods, it's a great way to get to know who we really are. Thanks to the power of YouTube, you can scroll back 6 days, 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years, even more, a lot more. Obviously, you're not going to watch them all, nor do you need to, but it's a great tool to have at your fingertips because it allows you to see how we've evolved over all these years, day by day by day. We're 2 points away from the all-time historic high. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up with our good word for the day, and then we'll do it all again tomorrow. The good word for today is overcoming envy, and there's a little bit of that in all of us. Proverbs 27:4. Wrath is cruel and anger is outrageous, but who is able to stand before envy? Unlike jealousy, which is the fear of being displaced, envy is ill will toward those who possess something you want. Jealousy says, I'm afraid you're going to take what I have. Envy says, I want what you have and I resent you for having it. Envy is one of the most frequently concealed emotions. You may be more likely to admit to an uncontrollable temper, a phobia, or any other negative emotion than to acknowledge that you are envious. How many times have you been at church and somebody stands up and gives a testimony about how they just got a promotion, a big salary bump, or a new car, whatever it might be, and while you're happy for them on the surface, there's that little thing inside of you that goes, man, how come I didn't get that? What am I doing wrong, God? Envy inevitably leads to resenting and criticizing the person you envy. And once you allow envy and resentment to enter your heart, they act like free radicals, producing an emotional cancer. Eventually, they will manifest themselves in some destructive way, whether it is in the form of taking mood-altering substances, overeating, shopping excessively, lashing out, being sarcastic, or physically harming others. If you harbor envy toward someone, you got to deal with it. David wrote in Psalm 51:6, "You desired faithfulness even in the womb. You taught me wisdom in that secret place. Cleanse me with hyssop, and I will be clean. Wash me, and I will be whiter than snow." If you covet what someone else has, ask yourself this: am I willing to pay the price they paid to obtain it? The world has a saying: there's no such thing as a free lunch. Everything except salvation has a price tag. So whether you want to be thin, rich, educated, or whatever, stop envying the success of others and ask God to help you succeed in the assignment He has given you for your life. And that's our good word for today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this: there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.